Good morning. My name is Duke, and my buddy Dutch over there. We are on the Duke and Dutch Show. Thank you for joining us today on this beautiful Friday. Another rainy day in Pennsylvania. Gotta love it. What are we gonna be talking about today, Dutch?
We have a plethora of topics to get into today, from Starbucks baristas breaking down over their dress codes to Israeli embassy members being attacked in Washington, D.C., Joe Scarborough and his inadequacies as a journalist for not having the knowledge to realize Biden is on a cognitive decline after 50 years of knowing the man. But first, we got to get into Donald Trump and his meeting with President Ramaphosa from South Africa, who is claiming that there is no genocide happening in his country. And speaking to that, as we're going to kick it off, you're going to see how the mainstream media here gets their talking points. Where do they get it from? I don't know. Yeah. But I don't think it's a coincidence. The word of today is ambush.
They must have all got the same memo.
To the dramatic scene in the Oval Office today, the tense confrontation, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
Up next, another Oval Office meltdown, President Trump ambushing the president of South Africa.
President Trump is being accused of conducting something of a diplomatic ambush of South Africa's president in the Oval Office.
To be with you, I'm Katie Tur. President Trump orchestrated another Oval Office ambush today.
Today, Donald Trump meeting with the president of South Africa and attempting to ambush and humiliate that leader.
Zelensky territory, where essentially he was a bit ambushed inside the Oval Office.
Felt like an ambush in there, kind of like the President Zelensky meeting in the Oval Office.
This was an ambush. It was orchestrated.
Cyril Ramaphosa brought his best diplomatic self to this meeting, but nothing could have prepared him for this multimedia ambush.
What started as, to some degree, an ambush.
Well, Katie, I mean, it was an ambush.
I'm out of fingers.
Ambush.
An ambush.
Ambushing.
Ambushed inside the Oval Office.
I mean,
clearly it's because he was ambushing them.
I think it's complete.
That's why people are thinking it.
I think it's complete coincidence. I have complete trust in the media that they don't all get their talking points from one singular place, because that's odd. I mean, they only said ambush like 15 times, all in the same day, all talking about the same subject.
He's doing it, damn it.
No. Now, we covered this last week when we were talking about the 59 white Afrikaner farmers who were coming over here. And Julius Malema, he is the leader of the EFF. It's like the Communist Party, one of the major political parties, but a communist party over in South Africa. And they publicly get on stage and they say, yes, we're going to eliminate the white farmers, essentially. I think it really is. This is a weird thing, too. South Africa, Julius Malema calls for the genocide of white citizens again. But he does say anti-Semitism is hatred, prejudice, or hostility towards Jews. Some of our biggest financial donors are Jewish, and we love them. I would imagine you wouldn't love them so much if they weren't some of your biggest financial donors. But anyway, this guy, Julius Malema down here, he said horrific thing. You know, he has no problem with taking this land from these people. And actually, South Africa has put it into law that they are allowed to confiscate this land from these white farmers pretty much whenever they feel like it. It's coded into law now. So this is President Ramaphosa. I hope I'm saying that right, leader of South Africa. And this is, just one of his speeches. Is a very short clip of him saying, I'll let him speak.
Oh, yeah, let him say.
The land of our forefathers and our foremothers must return to our people without any fail and without any payment of compensation. And it must happen now.
So this is the guy that they're saying there is no genocide. This guy is not backing genocide in any sort of way. So we're gonna get onto this ambush that happened here, because Trump really pulled a master class kind of in trolling them and making these people, or these South African leaders, or these South African diplomats, watch the videos of Julius Malema calling for the deaths of the Boers or the white farmers.
The farmer,
So I believe he's saying shoot to kill, Which, I mean, that doesn't sound like a violent threat. I'm sure that's just hyperbole.
So these people, when you want to hit them hard, go after a white man. They feel a terrible pain because you have touched a white man. Not because my...
So obviously, this is why the mainstream media is denying, there is no genocide happening. There's no risk to these people, even though you have one of the major leaders of the biggest political party in the, in the country saying, yeah, and he's called for violence before. He says, well, we don't know yet. I think his word was yet. We don't know yet if we're going to start killing people, but all right. And this is an
yet.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah, we haven't yet. This is this is from a different angle. And you can see these people from South Africa here. They're all sitting on the couch. These are all, in assistance somehow to the presidents, they're diplomats. You can see they don't even want to look at this television.
I mean, I'm sure this isn't the first time they've seen it.
No, I'm sure not, but...
So they know basically what they just walked into at this point.
Yeah, they've walked into an ambush, I guess. So...
Yeah.
So we're actually going to get into, we're going to actually get into the meeting and how this kind of set up and all this stuff. Trump should arguably take a Nobel Peace Prize for his actions, says Jeremy Carl. By shining a spotlight on what is really going on in South Africa, he may prevent a future Zimbabwe-style ethnic cleansing. What Trump is doing may help preserve a bright future for all South Africans. Possibly. We'll see about that, but...
President, welcome white Afrikaner refugees here. Can you explain to Americans why it's appropriate to welcome white Afrikaners here when other refugees like Afghans, Venezuelans, Haitians have all had their protected status revoked?
Well, this is a...
And just so everybody's aware here, these 59 white Afrikaners that are coming in, they have been given refugee status. The United States gives out tens of thousands of refugee status to people facing apartheid or genocide from all over the place every single year. Normally, they're not white, and that really seems to be the issue here, is that, one, they're saying, well, hey, these people are white, and two, that South Africa is saying, listen, I know all these optics look really bad. I know we have one of the major leaders of a political party saying, yeah, well, we might kill the white farmers and all that. But you got to understand, we're not doing that. And I mean, you can't trust the South African government. I mean, like what a couple minutes ago, the president's own words. What did he say? He said, hey, we're going to take back the land that we should have. It should go to from our forefathers, our foremothers.
Without compensation.
Without compensation. We're just going to take it back.
Group NBC that is truly fake news. They ask a lot of questions in a very pointed way. They're not questions, they're statements. We've had tremendous complaints about Africa, about other countries too, from people. They say there's a lot of bad things going on in Africa, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. When you say we don't take others, all you have to do is take a look at the southern border. We let 21 million people come through our border, totally unchecked, totally unvetted. They came from all over the world. In many cases, they're criminals. They come from prisons. They come from mental institutions. They come from street gangs. They're drug dealers. So don't say that we didn't take them. We're trying to get them out as fast as we can.
I think that's a false equivalence, really, because these people shouldn't be here. But we do offer refugee status like tens of thousands of people from pretty much anywhere, all over the world every single year.
The people that we do legally and document and everything like that probably got less of a vetting than these guys that came over, because this was such a unique situation / first job.
I think all refugees are pretty much vetted the same, but yeah, obviously what Trump's equating here is the people who have come across the border illegally have not been vetted at all.
Yeah, they don't get vetted like these, how many 29 people were.
59.
And we're doing record business on that, and we just won a big case where we're allowed to send back hundreds of criminals to Venezuela. Just won that today in the Supreme Court. I'm happy to hear. But we do have a lot of people very concerned with regard to South Africa, and that's really the purpose of the meeting, and we'll see how that turns out. But we have many people that feel they're being persecuted, and they're coming to the United States. So we take from many locations if we feel there's persecution or genocide going on. And we had a lot of people. I must tell you, Mr. President, we have had a tremendous number of people, especially since they've seen this. Generally, they're white farmers, and they're fleeing South Africa, and it's a very sad thing to see. But I hope we can have an explanation of that, because I know you don't want that. It's a kind of a different meeting. Normally we have.
Well, it would be bad for their. I mean, honestly, this would be detrimental to South Africa too. If you drive out all the farmers, you're going to have a food shortage.
Yeah.
And as we discussed, I know they say there's an unequal distribution of land. But I mean, from where we live in Pennsylvania. I can't drive a mile in any direction without coming across farmland. And obviously those farmers own a lot more land than I do, because they have to, because they need it to grow crops. So, I understand what they're saying. Well, the land is not distributed correctly, but it's like, but farmers need more land than other people, because they got to grow shit for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's a odd argument from them.
Meetings, we talk about trade, and we'll be talking about trade and other things. But that certainly will be a subject that comes up. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting stance, because, of course, you need the farmers.
Yeah.
But I think what they're trying to argue potentially is that, was that land originally theirs, or did they maliciously take it from the original owners?
Well, I mean,
that happens in every single country. That happens in every single nationality. It happens in every single land. Like it gets taken. It gets, So I don't know what they're trying to achieve or do or say. But it sounds like they're going to the extreme.
I would think the question becomes too.
Sure.
The question does also become, how long do you have to be in a place to be like, I'm a native of this place?
Yeah, that's the big question. Really.
Like, I have like German roots, but I can't go to Germany and be like, I'm a German, because I'm not. I've never lived there.
I'm
not
entitled to a piece of land here because I'm.
Yeah, and I'm not. I'm.
That's not how it works.
My family's been here for I don't know, a couple generations, a few, I don't know, 4 or 5 generations or something like that. So like around like the late 1800s, early 1900s. But it's like, is that not long enough? These people in South Africa, they say, some of their families have been there since like the 1610s. Is that not long enough to be able to call yourself, a South Afrikaner? I mean, that really is the question is. And
the fact that they've allowed it to go to the extent that there's laws now, pretty much enticing people. I'll even use that word, enticing people to steal their land. And it's not stealing, because they're just taking what's theirs.
They got to be careful.
No compensation.
They got to be careful, because if they end up in a Zimbabwe situation where they did end up killing a lot of the white people, and then, now we're starving. It's like, well, all right. I mean, hey, all right, so we're gonna
probably thought about all this, huh?
We're going to get into Trump is fake news. He's going to flip out on this guy because he wants to talk about the Qatari jet after they just played those clips of Julius Malema.
Mr. President, the Pentagon announced that it would be accepting a Qatari jet to be used as Air Force One.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You to get out of here. What does this have to do with the Qatari jet? They're giving the United States Air Force a jet, okay? And it's a great thing. We're talking about a lot of other things. It's NBC trying to get off the subject of what you just saw. You are a real, you're a terrible reporter. Number one, you don't have what it takes to be a reporter. You're not smart enough. But for you to go into a subject about a jet that was given to the United States Air Force, which is a very nice thing. They also gave $5.1 trillion worth of investment in addition to the jet. Go back. You ought to go back to your studio at NBC, because
Get out of
Brian
here.
Roberts and the people that run that place, they ought to be investigated.
You're
they
trash.
are so terrible the way you run that network, and you're a disgrace. No more questions from you.
But seriously, go sit in the corner.
Pretty much, yeah.
But that honestly though, like what kind of journalism is that? That's just trash because we're here for this topic and out of
Well,
left
they
field.
don't
Like,
want to
hey,
talk about
what
that
do you think
topic.
about this? Like, yeah, exactly. You're trying to steer it. Like, that's so obvious too. It's bad.
That's all. Well, it's just like the first clip we played. I mean, with ambush, it's like, where did you all get this talking point of ambush? You all have the same exact language when reporting on this. You don't want to even acknowledge that there could be some
Almost like there's an
validity.
agenda.
I don't care if it's the technical term of a genocide or not. You know that white farmers are being killed, and everyone's like, "Oh, well, that shouldn't matter." Oh, blah blah. You know, but if it was anywhere else in the world, they'd be crying. But no.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you. Johan.
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you.
So this is just kind of a recap of what we saw already. Again, Julius Malema here. I don't know if I gotta play this whole thing, but can I
just speed up,
yeah, skip ahead a little bit here. Yeah, but here I believe
you get
that's
the idea of what's going on.
Yeah.
They're presenting all what has come out to the public of what their government has been saying or their government figure.
Oh, these are public speeches. Everything about this is public. They do this right out in the open.
But now it's coming out to the national news.
Well, no, if Trump wasn't bringing this up, nobody would be talking about it, because I have a clip from CNN we're going to play later on, and they just vehemently want to deny this.
Sad. Because, like, what you want to... So you're trying to...
What
under the rug killings of people, let alone
we found immigrants that Democrats don't like. It's amazing.
somebody we could help. Like, yeah, we could help them, but you're like, no, it doesn't fit our demographic. We can't do this. Like,
Well, the Episcopalian Church said they're going to stop taking refugees because they don't want to relocate these 59 people. They've relocated hundreds of thousands of people, but they say, you can't make us relocate white people. It's like, wow.
How can you claim to say that you care about anyone as a church?
I don't think they do. I think the whole church is, I mean, they got like female bishops, for Christ's sake. I mean, I'm not a very religious person, but I am under the agreement that you either follow the teachings of Christ or you don't. There is no in between. There is no like, oh, well, I'm going to take this rule. I like this one, but not that's. I don't think religion works that way. It's either you're following all of it or you're going to follow none of it. You know, so I don't know. That's just my hot take on it. Everyone now, they kind of, they manipulated. Oh, we'll change this around, change that around. It's like,
oh, well, there's this part that I agree with.
yeah, and I'll follow this part, but not this part. And it's like,
yeah, they are proudly chanting and cheering.
yeah. Well, yeah, this isn't the president. Like I said, this is Julius Malema, but he is the leader of one of their major political parties. He's also a communist, so I'm sure if this goes over and they do take out all the white people, I hope somebody knows how to farm. But, communism doesn't normally lead to starvation. That normally doesn't happen. So that's a niche thing. Communism's been implemented so successfully in so many places. All right, I'm not going to replay the whole thing. Actually, we probably didn't even need that clip, but I'm actually going to do something a little different. I'm going to read this article, but this is an article here that I don't agree with, but this is from CNN, the fake news CNN, and how the White House orchestrated Trump's Oval Office ambush of South African president. Moments before President Donald Trump escorted his South African counterpart into the Oval Office on Wednesday, White House aides could be seen wheeling two large screen televisions down the driveway and into the West Wing. Little could have prepared President Cyril Ramaphosa for what he was about to see. Trump ordered the lights dim and launched into what amounted to an ambush of his visitor. Screening a video he claimed was evidence for his false suggestion that white South Afrikaners are being subjected to persecution and genocide. Again, I'm going to push back on that. That's not a false accusation. It's not false evidence. They have all these crosses laid out all on the road of all the white farmers that have died. That we showed that to you in the last segment. We covered this. There are laws on the books saying we can take this land at any time. I don't think that's false. A shocked Ramaphosa, who had just been exchanging pleasantries with Trump about golf, watched silently. An experienced diplomat who once served as Nelson Mandela's chief negotiator during talks to end white minority rule, Ramaphosa could barely disguise his discomfort. He should be uncomfortable. The moment was an orchestrated one, with Trump's team also having printed out articles for him to hold up in front of the cameras that said backed up his claims for a white genocide. And you see how genocide here is in quotation marks. It was perhaps inevitable that Trump would use the meeting to advance the fringe claims, which he amplified for months. The white farmers in South Africa are having their land seized and are being killed in massive numbers. Just last week, 59 white South Africans arrived in the United States after being granted refugee status by the White House. Since taking office in January, Trump has shown little hesitation at turning his meetings into moments for public hostility. Yet the multimedia surprise exceeded anything he has previously staged in the Oval Office. Even his shouting match with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in February, which appeared to some critics as a pre-planned trap, did not come with visual aids. No, and the Vladimir Zelensky thing is also, this guy doesn't want to end the war with Russia. Or he thinks he's going to have to make no concessions, and he's being a baby, and he still thinks he's entitled to our tax dollars.
He's thinking he can get whatever he wants, and that we have to help him.
Well, yeah, he's still entitled to all our money, so. Yeah. A White House official said Trump was using Wednesday's event to shed light on an issue that the administration believes the media has turned a blind eye to. I would agree. CNN has investigated the claims of white genocide in South Africa and found no evidence to back them up. Well, I mean, I believe CNN wholeheartedly 100%. I mean, that's the network with Jake Tapper on it saying that Biden's going to stutter. No cognitive decline. Why would CNN lie to the people? They would never do such a thing. However, Trump said he had heard from thousands of people about the issue, and despite Ramaswamy's calm attempts to describe his country's situation and pick apart Trump's allegation, Trump appeared unmoved. Death, 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 horrible death, he uttered, flipping through the pages of article printouts. As was evident as the scene was unfolding, Trump and his team had done extensive planning ahead of time to attempt to back up the unsubstantiated claims of white persecution. Again, I don't see them as being unsubstantiated. The media wants to say they're unsubstantiated because they don't want to report on this. And again, I don't know the official terminology of genocide, but I'm not going to read through this whole thing. But this is I mean, we can see up here too. The word ambush, it's gonna be in everything.
I'm surprised it's not in all capital.
I bet if I Google ambush right now, let's see here, news.
Hey, top stories.
Let's see, ambush, Australian Broadcasting, ambush, NPR, ambush, CNN. We were just reading that, ambush. This thing, this does not say ambush in it. Guardian, ambush. So, make foreign leaders think twice. That's from Reuters. Let's see. Ambush from Bloomberg. USA Today. False ambush. Yeah. Ambush. So.
Yep. Everywhere you go. Obviously, there has its agenda. Sadly, this shit's gonna keep going. Hopefully, I would love to live one day and not worry about all this propaganda just spewed everywhere. It's really hard to siphon through it some days, but
I think 60 years ago we wanted to live in a land where we're judged not by the color of our skin but the content of our character. And yet in the past 10, 15 years it seems like we have just gone backwards on that, and now everything is about identity politics. It's about who you sleep with, or what the color of your skin is, or all that stuff.
Who you're related to.
Yep. Well, there's always going to be nepotism, but All right, so this is from CNN, and this is about them. Again, we just read from them. This I'm only putting this up because Scott Jennings is on here, but
lowered a little bit. This is straight out of the conspiracy land of the far right.
You know what the difference is between a conspiracy theory and a fact? About 6 months.
And it is not based in fact. And it's amazing that this has actually become the foreign policy of the United States based on just straight up. I mean, we have the numbers. It is completely unsubstantiated. I mean, Scott,
you're saying it's not true that some white farmers have been murdered?
No, it's not true that there is a genocide against white farmers.
Okay, whatever you call it, have white farmers been murdered?
Actually, how many
have violence been committed against white farmers?
How many white farmers? Hold on a second. How many white farmers have been murdered?
I don't know. Several. I mean, they
thousands. How many?
I don't know. Several.
I know why you don't know. Because those numbers don't exist broken down by race.
Those numbers don't exist broken down by race, is what Abby Phillips says. Yep. Now, let's say that's true. Then how can she be sure that a genocide is not happening? Like, do you not see the craziness of what you're saying here? Oh, well, we don't know because they're not breaking down the numbers by race. Then you don't know anything more than he does. These people are absolutely insane. Like, and if you're supposed to be, you're the head of this, the Abby Phillips show or whatever you call this. You can't think far enough to be like, well, there's a flip side to this. God, these people.
I mean, I know this. I wouldn't trust the South African government to tell me. I know that.
How many black farmers have been murdered in South Africa?
Look, you guys are so triggered over 59 people.
No, I'm not.
After we left 20 million people in the country, I don't know why you're so triggered.
Haven't even brought up the white people that Trump picked out because they were white and told them they could come to the country.
How much racial killing are you going to condone?
There are 19,000 murders in South Africa. 36 were on farms. 7 of the farmers were victims. Okay, this is according to the South African police.
And you think the South African government...
Exactly, and you're supposed to trust them when you have seen clips from their president saying, "We'll remove you from your land."
Law.
Yeah,
it's part of their law.
It's been coded in the law that they're allowed to take over the farmland whenever they want. But we should take the South African president at his word, obviously, because or any of the extremists in South Africa who are calling for this. But I'm sure only 7 people were killed on farms. I'm sure.
The other 29, hold on a second, the 29 victims who were included in the farm killings were farm employees who tend to be black. So the vast majority of people killed on farms in South Africa are black. Where is the concern about them?
The concern is that there are white farmers who have had violence committed against them, and they're being threatened. They're being threatened every single day. There's 59 people, and you're triggered about 59 people, and I don't know why.
I haven't mentioned anything about 59 people. Why are you only concerned about white people?
I'm only concerned about this story because these 59 people asked for status. They're getting status, and now
What the weird thing is they make this about race, and they're like, "Why are you concerned about race?"
Everybody's freaking out.
They didn't ask for anything.
There is no evidence that white people have been targeted.
Yes, there
white
is.
People in the larger issue of farmers, in the larger issue of violence, have been part of this violence. But
then why are they trying to get out? Why are they? If there's no,
Scott, the
why
majority,
are they trying to leave?
The majority of
have you seen?
That's my stance that I was about to introduce. Right there, right what they're about to talk about. I want to let them play it out, but I'm right along this page where I believe he's about to start.
People saying kill the white farmers.
Afrikaners do not want.
What do you
to
think
leave.
the phrase "kill the white farmers" means?
Yeah, that's a phrase that the ANC. That was a phrase that was against the anti-apartheid movement. But the ANC, who's ruling the government, the president's government, has disavowed that phrase, has disavowed it in songs, and there's no evidence that white people are being targeted. And the majority of
unless if you look at Julius Malema from the EFF.
Afrikaners do not want to leave.
They're not a part of the government, Scott. Right. You're taking a fringe movement and you're trying to make it a characteristic.
It's not a fringe movement.
It is the height of racism to say that white people have to be exempted.
There's a lot of negative racist comments I've heard from.
Well, this is like I said, race matters, but not
multiple parts of the government.
Yeah.
In any society, and that is what is being said here. If we cannot say there is no white genocide happening, there is no farm genocide happening, and the argument is some white people have been killed, even though 27,000 murders happened in that country. What are we saying? If anybody of
that is true, I think South Africa is not really safe to go to. Like, I would not visit South Africa. No. I think it has one of the highest per capita murder rates in the entire world.
If they're not, look, these people officially filed and requested for
asylum,
refuge.
Yep.
Yeah, for asylum. If nobody else is doing that, so like they're talking about all these what ifs. Well, what about these other people? Yeah, they never applied for asylum.
Well, they're acting like we don't actually accept refugees from anywhere else. It's like I said,
we
tens of thousands of refugees
in numerous countries.
Yep.
And we accept a certain amount.
Yep.
And that's how it's always been. That's how it should be. There should be limits.
If we feel like they're fleeing persecution, not people who just want to,
not just because
soak money off of our government. Yeah.
One racial group is murdered, then that constitutes a refugee status for that particular group.
When the president has also ended the refugee program for all other people in actual war. There is
in actual war. I don't understand. You want them to stay, and I guess you want them to have violence committed against them. Does that make you happy?
Go ahead and comment, and then I'll let Sherman.
Violence against all people is wrong.
I agree with you.
Including the white farmers, but also including the black people that live in Africa. There are 1.5 billion people that live in the continent of Africa.
Like violence of any kind.
There are 1.5 billion people that live in Africa.
Okay.
There are 63 million people that live in South Africa. Mm-hmm. There were 59 people that were extracted out of a continent of 1.5 billion people and brought to our country. And what color were those people?
So why are you triggered by it? It's 59 people. Jeez.
White.
So?
And where were there other places where genocide is happening in the continent? Where 1.5 billion. I'm not against it. I'm not against it. I want to know. No. I want you to have a complete. No, I want you to have. I can have a complete thought. I want you to have a complete thought.
My thought
you are okay.
These people are under threat, and
well,
now you're coming here and you're enraged that they're not still under threat.
Can you say that in addition to the 7 potential white farmers that were murdered, the 18,982,000 black folks that were murdered in the country, that's a problem too?
Yes.
She didn't say a real number either. 19,000, 18, like what you said.
Just kept saying numbers.
All violence is a problem.
Yes, and maybe perhaps
the government's policies are targeting these particular people.
They are. Yes, they are.
No farms take
my God.
white people
when you have a law that literally says they can take shit from you and kill you in the act and not get in trouble for it.
Yeah, and there is no recompense. Yeah, then you are being targeted by your government. Yeah.
But the laws, do the laws not allow it?
There is a law, but it hasn't been.
There is a law, but
no,
they're being targeted.
Kind of like the Constitution.
Hold on, guys. I think that
they're threatening them.
Hold on. A lot is being said right now, including many things that are not
true.
What's not true? So the land. Let's talk about the land for a second.
It's the law.
That's an end to that argument. Like, we've amended a lot.
I'm going to go back real quick. I just want to. Hold on. No, we'll just go back to here.
Including many things that are not true.
What's not true?
So the land. Let's talk about the land for a second.
It's the law.
Scott, just 1 second. Let's talk about the land. The land. Hold on a second. Hold on.
I don't know what Scott Jennings gets paid, man, but it's like for him to come out here and he's got to he gets dogpied by like 4 liberals every single time. He's got to like fight them off like they're rats trying to sink his ship or something.
Does he have anyone on his side?
I forget the other guy's name. There is one black gentleman who's a conservative, but he hasn't said anything so far in this segment. But yeah, normally he's just dogpiled on it.
Let's talk about the land. I'm going to take this.
I hope he gets paid enough.
It's really important. 81% of the land. The vast majority, 96% of the private land in South Africa is owned by white people, despite black people being the vast majority of the population, 81%. The president of South Africa pointed this out today, that the United States has eminent domain laws that allows the state to seize land
on the basis
from
of race?
people. Hold on, from people if they want to. Here's what the New York Times writes about what the Trump administration did in its first term. The administration filed more than 110 lawsuits against landowners in Texas as it sought to secure space for the border wall, turning to eminent domain, even though many conservatives view it as an excess of government power that violates the sanctity of private property. So in addition to the fact that we do this all the time,
we do not target people for land acquisition on the basis of race.
Actually, we do. Black farmers lose land all the time.
There is no eminent
domain. That's a horrible statement to even say.
No, see, Scott's completely right, and everyone should be like, no, you're wrong, Scott.
Yes, make your point about
race. We don't do that here.
I mean, eminent domain does exist, and sometimes people's land is taken by the government, and they're probably not fairly compensated for it. That's true, but it's not on the basis of race.
It's not. It's not based off of a personal situation or the color of your skin.
You're right. We do not.
We absolutely have done that. If you look at how the interstate system was built in this country, that was done all the time.
On the basis of race. You're saying your particular race will take your land.
They literally
we won't take
built
yours.
the highway system through black neighborhoods.
I can't believe it.
I would need these people can say these things. I need to see some evidence for this.
Very quiet. This whole 9 minutes.
And wait, let me just say this. This is not an opinion. This is a fact. You can deny facts. You can smirk at facts. You can smile about facts, but that doesn't make a fact not a fact. And I don't believe that you believe the things that are coming out of your mouth because I know that you know.
You're saying absolutely.
Right, sure,
you're saying absolutely nothing here.
A couple things.
There's
a lot to just listen to.
Yeah, this Cher Michael, that's the guy. He's a conservative. He's pretty smart too, but we're not going to get into what he says because that's the end of the clip right there, and we got to move on. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the liberal media, I guess would be the last point on this, why the liberal media is so up in arms about these 59 people and why they want to vehemently deny that the South African government, even if it's not a technical genocide, is definitely treating these white farmers very unfairly. I would not want to live in a place where my land could just be rolled over and confiscated for anything, at any reason, anytime, you know.
They think they're getting special treatment. They're not getting special treatment. They're getting exactly the type of treatment that we've put in law and said that we can give treatment for.
Well, they're getting refugee status, but they're
experiencing refugee status. Exactly.
I wish I had those numbers, but
there's no reason that this shouldn't be happening, you know, or why them. Like, they have an actual reason. The fact that there's even a side that says, oh no, it's not happening, like just blinders, pretending that it's not existing, like it's not a fact that these people are dying over there. And the one point that I was hoping that was going to get brought up that didn't is, do you think the majority of these people that have come over here, that want to come over here because they want to, or because they have to because they think it's safer?
I would think a majority of people would probably not want to leave the only home they've ever known, and travel halfway across the world, you know, to start an entirely new life.
Might there be one or two people that might have that intention? Oh yeah, let's go to America. Okay, maybe I'll give you that. The majority, and last I heard, there was like over 70,000 people that were possibly interested in something like this because of the nature of things. That mass amount of people wouldn't want to leave their homeland willingly.
Well, and especially since normally people don't do that once
nothing was happening.
Well,
yeah.
I was going to say once they have families. That's why we see so many military-aged men coming across the border. You know what I mean? They don't have families coming with them. And obviously, it's a lot more easy to be nomadic when you don't have a family. But when you have a family, these people did come in with families. You don't really want to uproot your family normally, unless you absolutely have to.
To me, it doesn't say that they just are, oh yeah, let's just do this just to come to America because it's cool over there. No, they're not doing that. They're trying to come here because they're fearful.
Yeah,
well, it seems like they're truly fearful.
If I were in South Africa and I owned farm, I would be fearful too. I'd be fearful just to be in South Africa. Personally.
I was about to say it wouldn't even have to be a farmer, but that's just an even extra reason to be feared.
Yep.
Or to have fear. Is if you're a farmer over there, because it's clear that
they're being
white people are not
they're being discriminated against, and they're being persecuted by their government. They're being targeted, and their safety is
there's actual laws.
Yeah, they can take their land.
They could do whatever they want.
Yeah, at any time, whenever they want to do it. But I think that's we got to move on. We spent a lot of time on that topic. Next up is Joe Scarborough, my second favorite. I guess, what do you call it, media shill, who is also very complicit in the cover-up of Joe Biden's mental decline. We were slamming Jake Tapper on this, and I think Jake Tapper's a worse offender of it because obviously he wrote the whole book. But Scarborough is going to explain to you how now he was also blindsided. He didn't know anything. These people who get these positions, this guy's probably making like $10 million a year. Just for sitting up there doing the Morning Joe show. He doesn't know anything, though. He's not smart enough. He can't read a room. I will let him get into it.
But comparing that guy's mental state...
This is a clip from March of 2024, I believe.
I've said it for years now. He's cogent. Mm-hmm. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact... I think he's better than he's ever been, intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead. Sometimes that Irishman would get in front of the reasoning. Sometimes he would say things he didn't want to say. This is, and I don't really, you know what, I don't really care. Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden, intellectually, analytically, is the best Biden ever. Not a close second. And I've known him for years. The Brzezinskis have known him for 50 years. If it weren't the truth, I wouldn't say it. And you.
That's a pretty strong stance. Pretty strong stance. Again, March 2024. This was only. Yep. This was what, 14 months ago.
Let the man speak for himself. He spoke.
Flashback. Joe Scarborough goes on a wild, profane rant defending Biden's cognitive state and defaming Robert Hur. Robert Hur is the guy who did that investigation into the classified document scandal where Biden had him in his garage. And that it was never released to the public, and they decided, hey, we're not going to go pursue this because Biden's an old man. And apparently that really offended Joe Scarborough and this is his wife, is it Melina Pravinsky or something?
I wonder what pasture he will walk off into.
I don't know.
Just kind of wander off and say, well, you know, and Joe Biden, I noticed he didn't really tie his tie well. The tie knot suggested that maybe he has arthritis in his left thumb.
Can you believe how disingenuous that is? Like, to say that you're criticizing the guy for not tying his tie correctly when he's literally getting lost on stage constantly, when he's tripping upstairs constantly, when he's reading the wrong things off of a teleprompter constantly. I hate these people, man. It's like, again, ridiculous. Morning Joe, you should be thrown off of MSNBC.
Where are you going with this?
I'm just saying this guy says such random shit about
Joe,
stop. He's a kindly old man who could not remember his son's birthday. Like, he wandered off into a pasture here, and, you know, maybe Arnold the Pig led him there. I don't know. No, you should apologize for her, because
I shouldn't have asked.
I don't know exactly. Like, does he hope he gets a judgeship? I think he does. Yeah. I think he hopes he gets a judgeship. If Donald Trump gets elected again, he's trying out because he humiliated himself with that display.
Jackie Alamedi has actually.
There's a whole scandal surrounding Joe Scarborough. You know, he used to be a Republican. I'm not going to get into it, actually. But there was a dead woman found in his office at one point. That's all I'm going to say about that. But he is the arbiter. Apparently he's not. He's no longer the arbiter of these things because now he's confused how he was obviously wrong. What happened, Joe Scarborough? You were so confident a couple years ago.
Things didn't change. No way.
No, though. So I said that this was Biden at his best.
Sure. You did.
That's what I saw. Other people thought. I was obviously wrong. So I'm not sure what my takeaway is here the next time, but if you're around a guy for hours and
you don't know what your takeaway would be the next time. I don't know. Maybe do your job. Interview people the way you're supposed to. Don't run cover for people. You obviously, unless you're so dense, Joe Scarborough, that you couldn't figure out that like what every American could see, but you in your position and you're surrounded by all these DNC people. You have people constantly on your show and you can't figure it out. But me sitting on me from my living room, I can totally see it. I don't know. Maybe I should be taking your job at MSNBC.
Anyone with a tube could. Seriously, that was pretty bad.
And
just for the backtracking, come on, man. Like,
well, they have to now. What else can they do?
Nobody say I was wrong. Like, nobody else is really. What are we looking for? Nobody's looking for anything besides the admission of like, hey, I was wrong.
No.
We were wrong. I don't know how we didn't see this, or I don't know how.
No. I'm looking. I am personally looking for more than that because I don't care that these people say them being wrong now doesn't matter, and they knew they were wrong. They're not stupid. They knew they were wrong from the beginning. No, I think he is going to go into the fact that he was wrong, but. That's not the point. The point is you were so smug and you're so condescending. You're talking down to people like nobody has eyes and nobody has ears. It's a 1984 bit. And
they're building a whole system.
They all did it. You know, Jake Tapper did it. Joe Scarborough did it. All the people on CNN, MSNBC. It's like you can pull up clips from Psaki, from Reed, from any, like all these people. They knew, and they just covered it up.
I guess the question is, what's the takeaway here? What did you learn? Because
don't lie to the people.
Did you pick
don't
it up in
lie.
So, well, I saw what everybody else saw. Right, I saw what everybody else saw.
Oh my God.
The stumbles in front of the camera and that, but I saw him in person for the State of the Union luncheon that they do with anchors in early 2023, and then I didn't see him in person. Other than that, I will say I'm
going to go on the record here. I have never seen Biden in person, and yet it was painfully he tripped once. Okay, well maybe that. Yeah, you could just trip. People do just trip. I bang into stuff all the time. I'm a little clumsy. But geez, man, it's like you can't find your. How do you explain not being able to find your way off the stage? How do you explain that? How do you explain reading the teleprompter wrong? How do you explain that? How do you explain you trail off in the middle of a sentence? How do you explain that?
All these are not just once.
Yeah.
Countless times.
Two things. One of them is there were more moments of non-functioning Biden behind the scenes than we were privy to, that we saw than what we saw. If there are two
You're full of crap,
there's the one
Tapper.
that you saw that you just described, and then there's the one who's non-functioning, like what we saw at the debate night. Can't follow his train of thought, can't come up with names, can't remember dates, what you listened to in the Her Report, where he's like unsure of when his son deployed, unsure of when his son died. Tragic stuff, but he really honestly doesn't know those dates. That non-functioning Biden reared his head more and more and more. Now,
I mean, I would agree with him on that. I think from 2020, because you can see in his debate with Trump in 2019 that Biden he seemed fine. He was functioning better, but there was an obvious decline somewhere along the first couple years of his presidency. And now everyone's just so surprised about it. They can't figure out how it could have possibly happened. Ugh.
They just didn't want to admit it at the time. Now it's blown up in their face.
Yeah, and now everyone's running cover. And now everyone in there, they're going to do all the hand wringing, and they're going to be like, hey, you didn't know. I didn't know. Oh, none of us knew. We couldn't figure it out.
Oh, definitely no.
Just the conservatives sitting on, and you know what? The conservatives that came out, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's all cheap fakes. You're just trying to slander him. You're making fun of a kid with a stutter.
That's always what it is. Yeah, it's the bullshit defenses. I love they're already talking about conspiracy theories. Like, come on now.
They're all, and you know what? They're all going to wash their hands.
We're literally talking about what we're seeing in front of our faces, what you are presenting to us.
And they're all going to wash their hands of it, and they're going to say, listen, hey, none of us knew. We couldn't have ever figured it out. And probably eventually this story is going to get buried probably in the next week or two, and it'll be let go. I'm not going to let this go. I think I'm going to go deeper and deeper into this story because everyone was complicit. Everyone who was complicit in this should be held accountable. Maybe not criminally, but these people should lose their jobs for sure. So this is a clip here from Joe Scarborough. He's going to be talking to Dr. Zeke Emanuel, who is going to explain that obviously Biden definitely had cancer during his pregnancy. And Scarborough is shocked. Shocked. I'm sure he is. Well, I mean, maybe the cancer thing is shocking. I mean, I wouldn't be able to figure that out either, but the mental acuity thing, I mean, come on, man.
You believe it is likely if this prostate cancer has spread to the bone that he could have had it for up to a decade, but certainly it's likely. Would it be fair to say it's likely to have had this for at least several years?
Oh, more than several years. You don't get prostate cancer.
What's up?
I would say at least 5 guaranteed.
I think that's what they're saying because it's metastasized into the bone, and from what these doctors are saying, it's like that doesn't just happen. Yeah.
I just want to stop you. So this is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you were saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh yeah. He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021. Yes, that I don't think there's any disagreement about that.
Yes,
and I'm just curious again, if you're doctor to a president of the United States that is a male, that is an older man, would a prostate test, and again, we're just talking about a PSA screening, a blood test that you could do along with all the other blood tests. It's not even that it would be intrusive. Would this not be one of the first tests that you would conduct as a White House doctor?
If you're a White House doctor in this situation, I think you would certainly discuss it with the president and talk about the pros and cons. I think if you then ask, well, if President Biden says, well, if I'm your father, which patients often do, you know, what would you recommend? I think the fact is that most White House doctors would recommend getting the test. And again, the evidence is, look at President Obama, President Bush, younger than President Biden.
They all had it done.
And they both got the test.
Yeah.
Yep.
Isn't that so suspicious?
It's almost like they knew something going into him being president.
Looking back at
So now we're getting into Joe Scarborough here. This is gonna be the last clip from this because I want to move on. I can't look at this guy anymore either. It's like these people. I don't know.
All right.
No end they upset me, but yeah, this is gonna be about. And now he's gonna go back and he's gonna backtrack. You know, he's doing the Jake Tapper thing. They're all doing the same thing here.
Well, it was misleading to say Best Buy never, without caveating it and say, except on the days when he's not the Best Buy now.
Well, but I never saw those days personally.
Well, you did because you saw him address a dead congresswoman, and you saw him in South Carolina.
A dead congresswoman, yeah.
Yeah, well, more than that. I mean, I can show you. I can show you the RNC clip reels. There were plenty of days in public when he was not the Best Biden ever.
Well, because what else is he going to do? He has to be like, listen, I did not know anything about this. But you were so confident. If you didn't know anything about it, which is what you said, but you were so confident before to lambast anybody who said anything negative about Biden. The person who did the report on the classified documents, you have no idea, because that tape just came out. We just did that in a previous segment. But that tape had not come out. And you're offended by the language the guy uses. Said, oh, I don't think Biden really should be brought up on charges because he's not coherent enough. And that offended you to no end. But you knew nothing about that situation. You just jumped on the Biden train. Why? Because it gets you access to the White House. And now, why are you doing this? Some of it, sure, it's the safe face. A lot of it is now you're trying to get back in with the White House. Like, that's all you want is media access. And I get it. You know, you're a commentator. You need media access. But why should the American people trust you? That's the uphill battle all these people are going to have to face.
And of course, shortly after.
He stumbled and bumbled around, Mark. I mean, yeah, he certainly did. Donald Trump did. Other politicians did. But it's actually the same case as a lot of times when I've gone in and talked to Donald Trump. Gone to Donald Trump, and I've heard the media narrative around Donald Trump, and certainly I've been very critical of Donald Trump. And
I've never seen Trump stumble and bumble his way through anything. Trump can go off teleprompter for like 20 minutes at a time. You could be like, well, that's a negative. He does rant for a long time. Okay, I could see that, but like, he's pretty cogent, to use Joe Scarborough's language. He's cogent.
And when I leave, I have a better understanding, just like Jeffrey Goldberg.
Yeah, he doesn't have speaking issues.
Goldberg did a couple of weeks ago. I have a better understanding of where Donald Trump is mentally. If Donald Trump is losing it, like, you know, people have said through the years or not. And so
Who's
again, am I going to look at a clip that's
Who's saying that?
Ambush.
Is
Ambush, I say.
His disgruntled niece, is she saying that? His disgruntled nephew is trying to sell a book. Are they the ones saying it? They're not around him every single day. With the media? Oh yeah, the media. We got to trust the media, because the media can definitely identify when somebody is on a mental decline, as this whole week is proven.
Going viral and pay more attention to that than 2.5, 3 hours I had with a guy one-on-one going around the world. No, I'm just not going to. Are some of the clips bad? Yeah, they certainly are bad. I can understand why people would see that without the context. And say that there was a problem with that, especially because I said, start rolling your tape right here. You know, it's like, but yeah, you really when I look at that tape, based on what I saw with Biden, based on the time that I spent with Biden, based on the hundreds of hours that I talked to people who talked to Biden and people that worked with Biden, and were with him day in and day out. Good friends that I know that I trusted before Biden was president, that I trust now that Biden's not president. I mean, put in the proper context. I'm just not going to freak out and melt down on one or two clips here or there. And again, he bumbled around and he
one or two clips. Yeah, Biden only tripped one or two times.
Yeah, it was
only. He only walked off the stage in the wrong direction one or two. It's like, man, this is just like, ugh. I should make a video of that too. All the time, Biden gaffes.
It's all the same answer. It doesn't matter who it's coming from, too. It's all the same answer. It's all the same deflection. It's all the same defense. The defense is there is no defense. Oh, well, it happens. It happens to everyone.
There's nothing else that there's nothing else they can say because what can you say at this point? Nothing. There is nothing to say.
He stumbled around, but he has for quite some time. That didn't seem to me to get in the way of
is he going to bring up the stutter?
Being able to analyze
bring up the stutter. Come on, Joe. Bring up the stutter.
I certainly think he has a better grasp on it than probably the overwhelming majority of his critics, or certainly did when I spoke with him. But again, the question is, who is somebody else running the government for him? Is he incapable of running meetings? I've never talked to anybody.
I completely disagree about that. I 100% believe the auto pen scandal, the layers are being peeled back with that. I saw a couple articles today about it. We'll probably get into that a little more on Monday.
I'm sure more development will be coming with that story. Yeah.
But I do not think Joe Biden was in charge. I mean, just based on the fact, let's say he wasn't perfect.
He was not signing his name, especially towards the end of that presidency.
Let's say he wasn't perfect, though. Let's say Biden was the smartest president ever. He still took 540 days off. That's about a year and a year and a half he had off out of 4 years. Or sorry, about a year and a third.
A lot of days.
That's quite a lot of time.
That is sad. Joe Biden's not capable of running meetings. The complaint that I've heard, not only from, and I hope people are still listening to me because it is important. The only complaints I've heard about Biden internally was that he was angry. He would often get angry, and
that's an onset early sign of dementia.
Frustration.
Yeah, getting irrationally angry. That does happen to people who are starting to come down with dementia.
It was basically his way or the highway. He would listen to other people, but the Afghanistan issue is a perfect example. He had everybody, from Mark Milley, every general, everybody saying, don't get out of Afghanistan. But, it was, I think at times it would have been good for him to yield a little bit more to some of his advisors than he did. That's one thing. The second thing is, again, this is multi-layered. I talked to a good friend that I had in the French delegation when they had tough negotiations. I think it was right after the state dinner, the French state dinner, before the state dinner. And they said they were all surprised. They were up 5 or 6 points. And not only was Biden on top of his game, he was, they thought, a bit aggressive.
Right.
Yep. I just don't understand where this came from.
MSNBC's Joe Scarborough forced to explain why he thought Biden was at his best ever in March 2024. Let's see if we can go through it. I've said it for years. He's cogent now. After noting that Biden had good days and bad days, Halpern asked Scarborough, looking back at that, did you say, well, it was misleading to say Biden was his best ever? And he pretty much said it was, but he never personally saw him have a bad day. So this is kind of going off the clip we already saw. Joe Scarborough is a liar. He's trying to save his career. He had no problem trashing anybody who brought up that Biden was not the best. I mean, March 2024, he's saying Biden is the best ever. If it was March 2022, maybe you can make that argument. March 2024,
this is just
I don't think so.
Journalist. This is just the next journalist that is going to come out and use this defense of, I just didn't know. It wasn't, I never saw him in person. I only saw what everyone else saw. Which, that's an excuse because that's enough for us to know it. But
they have nothing else to say. They got to scramble to try to save their careers and try to save their credibility somehow. And it's like, this was all about White House access. This was all about protecting the DNC. It was all about protecting the president. But if you're a
You're willing to
journalist,
do whatever you want to get the story.
yeah, journalism is really, I mean, you got to have contacts, obviously, but I guarantee if they reported on this, they would have been cut off from the White House completely. They would have been shut out. So I'm guessing that's why they didn't do that. Which is so weird because with Trump, they have no problem criticizing him. But anyway, let's move on. The next story we got here is a sad one. There was an incident in D.C. I believe it was, I think it was on Wednesday. Our Chicago man, Elias Rodriguez, has been named as the Free Palestine shouting suspect arrested over the deadly shooting outside the Capitol Jewish Museum that killed 2 Israeli embassy staff in D.C. Someone with the same name donated to a campaign for Palestine and is a member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation, a communist party. And this is all going on. You know, apparently this is the suspect right here. Ilya, this is apparently donated to this GoFundMe. I, as an individual, cannot stop this violence to the people of Palestine, but I can at least help the little boy who made a difference to me. I urge others to help as much as possible. No child should experience such horrible things. Free Palestine. Elias Rodriguez from the Party for Socialism and Liberation argued that the murder of Laquan McDonald and the Chicago bid for an Amazon headquarters are not 2 separate issues, but rather they are both connected. So obviously this is some nut job who's been radicalized by the far, far, far left, because this is not all leftists, who wanted to take it into their own hands to go out and randomly murder Jewish people. Now,
yeah, gotta love it.
Now, normally we wouldn't cover I don't know. We wouldn't cover a subject like this.
Yeah.
Because
we usually shy away from it.
I'm not really invested in this Israel-Palestine thing. This is a complex geopolitical issue that I don't really have the knowledge to cover, and I don't think I do it justice by covering it, and I don't think that one side is inherently right and one side is inherently wrong. I think it's a very complex issue. But this happens on American soil, and it's these people, they're getting more and more radicalized to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
So we're going to hear from CNN anchor's main concern is the optics against anti-Israeli protesters, not the safety for Jews. Her guest pushes back. It's an incredible moment of television.
Well explained.
As you go forward, as you go forward with what you have seen, can you give us any sense, because you said you looked the shooter in the eyes, can you give us any sense of what you saw in him as he was sort of getting help and people were tending to him as if he too was a victim of seeing this?
Yeah, to be clear, I heard about that part because we were in the secure room when he initially walked in. I just saw him screaming and then being handcuffed. But what I saw in his eyes, I mean, I went to Columbia for grad school, and I saw the same thing in his eyes as I saw in the eyes of all the protesters at Columbia. Nothing different between him and them.
30 years old from Chicago. We already know he chanted Free Palestine, and he pretended to be a witness, says a witness.
But they did not create this horrific shooting. They did not, you know, they didn't shoot.
They gave permission. They gave the permission. And they have called for this. They have called for Intifada revolution, which is the same thing he yelled last night.
Do you worry that there will be a conflation, though, of the two, those people who are speaking their mind, who really care about what is happening in Gaza, and those people who are like this person who did this horrific shooting, who intend to do harm?
And I want to just be clear here. Like I said, I'm not really on anybody's side here, but I do think what Israel is doing to Gaza is extreme. I think you could constitute that as a genocide. I think they're leveling the place. And I know, you know, they have reasonings for do it, you know, the October 7th, but this has been going on a lot longer than October 7th.
Decades.
And I think it's so odd that people who live here, who have never been to Israel, they've never been to Gaza, are so invested in this conflict. You can be passionate about something, but to the point that you're going to go out and you're going to kill people, I mean, that's just crazy.
But as you said, yep, it's affecting things on American soil, and definitely.
Oh, this is in D.C., yeah.
We need to talk about it, yeah.
Harm.
A conflation. I mean, they are calling for Intifada. At Columbia University, they call for Intifada constantly. They're not quietly, they're loud. They're loud. You can hear it. They make recordings of themselves. So what's the difference?
Are you afraid?
Yes.
What
We're
will you
all
do
afraid.
about it?
Everyone should be afraid.
What are you doing to try to make yourself feel safer?
Okay, just go on and live your.
That's a weird question.
That's a nonsense question.
But I think people. I don't think it's just pertaining to this. I just think people are becoming more radicalized. I mean, you see it with this is kind of a non sequitur, but you see it with all the crazy liberals. They go out there and they're keying Teslas. 5 years ago, it was good to drive a Tesla. You were saving the planet. Now Elon Musk is this or he's that. So anyone who drives a Tesla supports Elon Musk. So they got to vandalize their cars. People, and you know what? A lot of this I blame the media for. The media has,
radicalized.
It's radicalized so many people, and there's not going to be any accountability for it.
For life. I'm a New Yorker. I remember 9/11. You can't let them make you be afraid. You have to go on. You have to live your life, and hopefully your government does things to protect you. Last night, our government failed us.
Jonathan Epstein, I know that they are going forward with this. There is expected to be charges in this case. We will see what happens, but I know you'll be watching, and we'll talk to you again as this goes forward. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry that you had to witness what you did.
Well, I don't know if the government necessarily failed. It's like that's the problem. Like, I mean, we see this all the time. There are, mass shootings. It's like, what can the government really do about it unless restrict 2A? But I would argue that, more guns make us safer, not less. But this is what is really going to get interesting here. Now, this guy is on mainstream media. He's talking about the rhetoric of Hassan Piker, who is somebody we covered. What was it? Last week, I believe, we covered Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker is a radical champagne socialist who basically, I don't think he really cares about this Israeli-Gaza thing at all. I think he's just doing it because he's curated an audience around it, and the guy is so unbelievably audience captured, he's completely afraid to step out of line on anything. He waged war against Ethan Klein, and they agree with like 90% of the issues. He just doesn't believe that, Ethan just believes that Israel shouldn't be level, and Hassan disagrees with that, basically. Or I believe that's what it is. But he's making mainstream attention, basically, because he's platformed terrorists before. And the argument can definitely be made that you're now making this stuff more accessible and more mainstream by platforming terrorists. He's comparing them to Luffy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But all of us need to call it out. I'm thinking about the New York Times doing a gauzy profile a few weeks ago of this gamer, Hassan Piker, who regularly employs awful genocidal rhetoric against Jewish people in the Jewish state.
Yes, and he does.
Extremists should not be empowered. People who spout prejudice should not be platformed. This is a moment when we need to look ourselves in the mirror and say, we've got to stop this because the consequences are deadly.
What I think
all of us need.
What I think is very weird about that too is Twitch is now owned by Amazon, and I think Hassan has sponsorships through Amazon. And it's like, are you going to tell me a platform as big as Amazon? Because this is going to lead to the collapse of Twitch. I guarantee. If they keep allowing this stuff to go on, I know, Hassan is Twitch's golden boy, but it's like you're platforming terrorists. I mean, he said vile, hateful things that would have got anybody else banned. But he's, I've heard, I don't know if it's true, but they say the reporting button's gone for Hassan. You can't even report him. But of course, he's going to, I got this from Yeet. This guy covers all the slop. So that's why we're in this, because it kind of segues in here. Hasanabi, Israel's an apartheid state doing a live stream genocide. I think it's wrong and dangerous to conflate these heinous actions with Jews. The Apartheid Defense League doesn't because they think they can improve Israel's standing by silencing its critics. It won't change the truth. So he's upset because this guy, the head of the ADL, is blaming Hassan. He's not directly blaming Hassan. No, I wouldn't conflate those two things.
Say he's blaming him.
No, but he's definitely saying that this rhetoric. Obviously, if you're going to platform,
not condoning what he's doing.
If you're going to platform these extremists, obviously it is going to lead to problems, and it's going to make these views more and more mainstream. And honestly, I don't know how a company as big as Amazon can even allow it to go on. You have advertisers on the platform. Yeah. It's going to lead to an adpocalypse where advertisers are going to pull off of it because they're saying, "Why should we support this?" You're allowed to say
exactly what's going to happen.
You're allowed to say whatever you. I mean, if they're going to allow it on their platform, then obviously you're allowed to say whatever you're going to say. But I don't think the more mainstream traction this gets, that you're going to have advertisers standing behind it. And if you have no advertisers, these people aren't doing this. They're not doing this for fun. So let's see. So we're going to get back to the story here. Suspect in Israeli embassy murders at protesters for Palestinian rights. The man detained after the shooting at the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington is from Chicago, where he had marched at pro-Palestinian demonstrations. The man accused of killing two Israeli embassy aides in Washington published a post on the social media site X on Wednesday evening that condemned the Israeli and American governments and what he called atrocities committed by the Israeli military against Palestinians. I think this is a perfectly, I mean, this is a fine stance to have. You can have this stance. The problem really becomes, if you want to condemn, what you think is going on in Gaza, fine. But you can't go around killing people. Like that's no. Under the title "Escalate for Gaza, Bring the War Home," the suspect Elias Rodriguez condemned what he called atrocities committed by the Israeli military against Palestinians. The post did not refer directly to the shooting on Wednesday evening, but it justified armed action. Mr. Rodriguez is a Chicago resident who had participated in pro-Palestinian activism and was working at the American Osteopathic Information Association, a trade group for osteopathic doctors, the organization said. According to his LinkedIn profile, he was an administrative specialist and had worked there since last July. Before that position, his LinkedIn profile says Mr. Rodriguez was an oral history researcher and production coordinator at a Black history site. An online job biography said that he was born and raised in Chicago and graduated from the University of Illinois. Email address, Mr. Rodriguez used LinkedIn. It was also used for registration for X, yada, yada, yada. He posted a video from a pro-Palestinian march in Chicago on X in 2023. He also was photographed participating in a protest in 2017 at the home of Rahm Emanuel, then the mayor of Chicago, organized by the social justice group Answer Chicago, in opposition to Amazon opening a second headquarters in Chicago. So this guy's been an activist for quite some time.
Yeah, he's been an activist for quite a bit for multiple causes, looks like.
Goodreads account. I don't care about a Goodreads account, sorry. Email address reviewed books on politics, slavery, Maoism, and Chicago history. So he was probably a socialist communist too. And I mean, there is, I forget where it was, but somebody did say that they think he did watch Hassan Piker, but I don't have that up, so I'm not going to say that as fact. Mr. Rodriguez's parents, reached by telephone, declined to comment on Thursday morning. He lived in Albany Park. It is known as a community that has long welcomed immigrants. A century ago, it was home to many Jewish families from Europe, but is now a draw for Latino, white, and Asian residents of Chicago. Windows in what appeared to be the suspect's apartment were adorned with two signs about Palestinians, including one that referenced the 2023 killing of a Palestinian-American boy in Illinois. So, not really too, I mean, that's just a brief recap. There's not too much about it, but
it doesn't sound like it was too much of a coordinated type of attack or anything like that. It was just him lashing out with his personal.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he targeted two.
That's what it seems like. Did he have anyone helping him? I haven't heard.
Oh no, I don't know if he had. I don't think he had any assistance, but I don't know if it would have ran him. He says, he did kill 2 Israeli embassy members. So I would say that is somewhat coordinated. It wasn't random, I wouldn't say.
That's true. Yeah.
So, well, it'll probably.
That's the only thing that, because it was in a museum, but 2 embassy workers just happened to be there, I guess. So, and he happened to shoot those. That'd be a pretty big coincidence.
Yeah, so there'll be more about this at some point. I do think, I understand that people do have their opinions on this, and it's a hot topic. And, it's such an intense geopolitical issue that it's really hard to say who's right, who's wrong.
Need self-control, though. That's really what it comes down to. We're not the type of species that should be killing other members of the same species because of how we view things.
I think everyone's just got to calm down and take a step back. Or if you really want to help out, I mean, go to Gaza. That's what all these people.
I'm sure they could.
I don't understand that if you really want to, if you really care that much about the Palestinians, then I mean, honestly, that's the thing you should be doing. Or donate to Gaza or something like that.
I was about to say, I'm sure there's foundations or a program set up to even take in refugees.
Oh yeah, probably
from over there.
I would think so, or maybe not. I don't know.
Offer your property, your space, your personal space.
I'm not really sure about that actually, because I think, and that's one of the major things too, is America is so deep in with Israel because they're our greatest ally for some reason, even though they give us nothing, and we provide them with millions upon billions of dollars and stuff like that. So I can understand the frustration of people, but don't take your anger out like this. Or if you really want to go help, I mean, maybe go to Gaza. All right, we're gonna move on from this. This is a last story. It's a lighter topic here. It's about the heartbreaking Starbucks workers and their rage over a new company dress code that they feel is very unfair and inhumane to them. This is one of those, I mean, just coming off of that topic, I mean, this is
can't wait.
Pretty soul crushing here that people have the time to be upset about this, but let's get into it.
Starbucks says that employees now have to wear a solid black short or long sleeved shirt.
Oh, geez.
And any shade of khaki, black, or blue denim bottoms.
Oh, no.
Starbucks is even giving employees 2 free company branded t-shirts, but the baristas say that the new dress code strips them of their identity.
This isn't just about clothes. It's about control. Right now, union Starbucks workers across the country are putting on runways and walking out on strike. Because once again, Starbucks made a big decision about our jobs without bargaining with us. And this time...
They don't need to bargain with you. They're a corporation.
You work for them. Yeah, they pay your paycheck. Oh my God, this I knew it was going to be a bunch of these young baristas, young generation.
It's about clothing.
Such nonsense.
Most jobs do have
about control. You can't control me.
Most jobs that every job I've ever had has a dress code.
Every job I've ever had some type of dress code or uniform.
Yeah.
You remember our DECA days.
yeah. We had a uniform there. Everywhere I've worked, I've had a uniform. You know, something you got to put on. This is I don't know. This is a weird hill to die on. I mean, if you go to work, I would say 95% of places are going to be like, no, you have to wear.
You kind of have to wear what we say. Yeah.
Even if you're in an office setting, they don't give you but then you have a dress code. Well, you got to wear a button-up shirt. You got to wear khaki pants or something like that. It's like
new restrictive dress code, one that we're paying for out of pocket. So we're walking in to say no more.
Which I think normally, as long as you get it for a job, you can get a voucher and you can get reimbursed through taxes, I believe.
It is tax deductible. Any expense for equipment for work, aka uniform, outfit, shoes, gloves, a certain type of glasses.
Yeah,
tax deductible.
Yeah, anything that you would actually need for work, it's tax deductible.
No one cares. Make the coffee. And others think they're now unable to truly express themselves.
Something that Starbucks loves to do is allow partners to be themselves or whatever that PR that they want to push. I don't understand how that's in good faith of letting us express ourselves. I don't understand how that's supposed to embody craft and culture.
If people are paying $10 for a drink, you shouldn't look as awful as certain employees allow themselves to look.
I don't know what's going on here.
Operating hours. Apparently, they should have the right to look a mess whenever they want, if they want to.
Well, work's simply not a.
That's my understanding of it.
Work's not about expressing yourself. Work's about showing up, doing a job, and going home. There is no self-expression.
They pay you for your service. If you don't do the service, they get somebody else that will. Oh my God, why is this concept so hard to understand?
I'm sorry, Paul. When did Starbucks turn into the Teletubbies or a playground? It's work. Abide by the dress code or find someplace else to work.
You don't like the horn, huh?
Oh my God, I don't like any of it.
Yeah, all these people right here that are on the news, I guarantee you they have dress codes. I guarantee you this man right here, he couldn't show up in a t-shirt because they'd be like, well, that's unprofessional.
100%.
All right. Well, look. Let me. I just go back into my own experience. You know, when I joined the police department, you had to buy all of that stuff. I didn't realize when I joined. They said, "Okay, give us a check. You got to pay for your uniforms and everything." Later on, when I went into plan, this is probably one of the suits I bought back then. You had to buy like 10 suits, because you had to go to work every day. You had to wear a suit, when you were doing investigations. So I don't have a lot of sympathy here, but also simplifies your life. What do you don't need your job to express yourself with your clothes. Go there and make the coffee. That's it. It simplifies your life. I got a black shirt. I wear the khakis. I go to work, and that's all there is to it. And they better wake up. I'll tell you why. Within the next 5 years, it's going to be robots making the coffee anyway. I saw it the other day. So, the robots are not going to complain about the black shirt. So, you know what? You got a job. Wise up.
It's definitely a strange hill to die on. It's only, I couldn't see possibly doing this. So we're going to get into... I want to play this clip. This is on the other side of the coin. We saw a little bit of this, but we're going to play the whole thing about this young lady and how the controversy is about them being stripped of their identity. And my heart really does. It bleeds for her. It really does.
This isn't just about clothes. It's about control. Right now, union Starbucks workers across the country are putting on runways and walking out on strike. Because once again, Starbucks made a big decision about...
have unions? They have a union?
I guess so.
For baristas? That's...
It might. I have no idea. I've never worked at Starbucks, but I mean...
Yeah. All right.
I guess maybe they'd have to, because I don't think they could stage a walkout without a union, because they'd just go hire other people.
Very true.
That's I wouldn't expect them to have a union, but it's interesting.
Our jobs without bargaining with us. And this time it's a new restrictive dress code, one that we're paying for out of pocket. So we're walking in to say no more. And newsflash, making baristas wear certain shades of black doesn't make the customer experience any better. Policing what we have on doesn't fix short staffing or long lines, and it certainly doesn't help with.
That's something that's dealt in literally any service job, a restaurant business, hotels. I mean, that in any service industry, you're going to be short-staffed at some point. I mean, that's like everybody who's ever worked with food knows you're going to be short-staffed.
110%. If you look at the market research, which I have definitely been presented it numerous times throughout my career of working with food industries, uniforms 110% make a customer feel more satisfied / happy with the service because it feels more professional.
Yeah, I'm not sure about. Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. It's just whatever the company's saying. Just wear a black shirt.
It's presentation.
It's not
presentation. Literally, you can charge people more money for presentation.
Baristas dealing with understaffing, lack of hours, and low pay. They think they can tell us how to dress, expecting us to spend money on new shoes or pants just to be in compliance with the new dress code, while we're already stretched thin and struggling to pay our bills as is. I don't think so. So here's what we're doing. We're flipping it. We're calling out this power grab for what it is. Workers in stores around the country are walking out this week, demanding Starbucks bargain with us and provide everything we need to be in dress code. To make one thing crystal clear, our union rejects this dress code in our nearly 600 growing union stores, and until Starbucks bargains with us, as is their legal obligation, we're not backing down. If Starbucks wants to talk about what we wear, they can come to the table and bargain. Until then, we'll keep organizing.
Until then, you're not getting paid, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can. I'm just saying, if you're gonna have a wait out, I mean, wait outs don't ever. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have to go to the table. It's not gonna work. The corporation has a lot more money to lose than the individual does. It's just,
especially
unfortunately, just the way it is.
If it's only 600 coffee shops in America, you know how many more Starbucks coffee shops there are? That 600 is probably not going to be a deal breaker for them.
Probably not, no.
Keep showing up for each other, and keep escalating, because this fight just isn't about uniforms. It's about respect.
Honestly, very rarely will I say this, but I hope Starbucks sticks to their... maybe the compromise would be, okay, pay for the uniform. Give them one set of uniforms, 2 sets of uniforms, like McDonald's used to do.
Oh, I have no idea if they're going to even compromise on it. Maybe
that would be the compromise that I would see that maybe is applicable, acceptable. But what compromise are you expecting? To you just be able to wear whatever you want? That's not realistic.
Well, I think they're saying they just want the uniforms paid for, but I don't know. Well, we'll see. Starbucks is pretty woke. They might cave to it.
It's a real contract. We're not here to play dress up. We're here to win.
I know you're a barista at Starbucks, though, girl. It's like, you're expecting an awful lot. I mean, most fast food places, and I would consider Starbucks fast food, right? They don't have unions. I've never heard of that before. All right, so we're gonna read a little bit about it here.
Yeah, that's nonsense.
I mean, okay, what is the new Starbucks dress code? It sparked some employee walkouts at around 100 stores. I know, but like Starbucks has got to have
thousands.
I mean, maybe tens of thousands, probably.
Probably even close on. It would not.
That's in April, Starbucks announced.
Honestly, 100,000 probably would be a safe estimate.
I don't know about that many, but a lot. I mean, more than this 1,000 employees
they're
walking
in malls,
out.
They're in shopping centers. They're standalones. They just added a standalone one right by me.
Yeah, unless you can.
They're all over the place.
Unless you can somehow get
Target has Starbucks.
You gotta have solidarity amongst all the workers. You so far have got I don't think you even got 1% of the worker population.
A union that only has about 5% of the workforce is not a union.
In April, Starbucks announced that the dress code for its baristas would change in May, severely limiting their options when it comes to what they can wear to work. Last week, the dress code change took effect and sparked a walkout for more than 1,000 employees who believe the policy worsens an understaffing crisis at Starbucks locations. But Starbucks seems to be relatively unaffected, as the walkouts affected less than 1% of its stores. Yeah, they're screwed. Here's why Starbucks employees are pushing against the company's dress code changes and what the new dress code entails. Last week, more than 1,200 employees went on strike to protest a new dress code policy that went into effect on May 2nd. There were walkouts of about 100 stores nationwide, with the company's union group, Starbucks Workers United, arguing that the new policy worsens
100,000 stores easily.
Worsens an already prevalent understaffing crisis and distracts the company from focusing on the real issues within the coffee company. Did you just look it up? It's 100,000 stores?
No, I'm just off of that statistic of 1%.
Well, that's one per. I don't know. Oh, it actually says it down here.
1,000 stores, 1%.
Well, it says more than 10,000 locations. So it's probably not. They're probably not even. They're just causing the understaffing. I'm sure these stores, even all the walkouts, I'm sure that most of them are still running. So it's like you're not even really doing anything. You're just screwing yourself out of a job, is what I would think. But the distraction is Starbucks rolling out all these new changes when all the customer is concerned about is getting their drinks and going about their merry way. They don't care what color shirt we have on. Jasmine Lilly, a union bargaining delegate and a Starbucks barista based in Buffalo, New York, told USA Today. Starbucks hasn't bargained with us over this dress code change, and we just need them to get back to the table so we can ratify this contract. Good luck with that. But Starbucks confirmed that the walkout didn't affect operations, as the majority of its more than 10,000 locations were operating business as usual last week, regardless of the strikes. Starbucks argues that outrage over a simplified dress code is coming from staff at less than 1% of all stores and is the cause of delayed negotiations. Yeah, then you got nothing. I mean, you got to have solidarity across the board with all the workers. And
They're not going to care less to negotiate with them.
Well, if it's less than 1%, then most of the people who work there don't care about it, or even if they do, they don't care enough to try to, get thrown out of their job for it.
You have to strike for it.
So I think this is going to be a nothing thing. I think these young people are going to have a rude awakening. I don't think they're going to negotiate because honestly, they don't need to negotiate, and it's just a stupid hill to die on.
I really hope Starbucks holds strong because this is just nonsense. Don't give in to these people. If anything, at most, give them a free uniform. But they need to wear a uniform.
Well,
Get out of here with this nonsense. Oh, we could wear whatever we want.
They're not going
to. Not to mention, we didn't even bring this up. It's a insurance liability to allow certain things like that. Chains, long necklaces, hoops, certain things. When you're around certain equipment, it's an insurance liability and will cost the business more insurance. I'm sure there's plenty of equipment for a barista to handle that they really shouldn't be hanging or wearing long dangling clothes or accessories.
Yeah, I think this is a nothing burger, and these employees are. Yeah, they're not going to go to the table if it's less than 1%. All right, so that's the end of that segment. We haven't done this in a while, but I thought this would be something fun to finish up on here. A little what if scenario.
We weren't as good this episode. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Oh yeah, I kept forgetting to say
Let
that.
us know what you think about all our topics we've introduced so far today. We are very interested in what everyone thinks. Please let us know.
Yeah, we need more comments. So. Yeah, please comment down below what segment you like, what you didn't like, what we did well, what you think we did poorly, all that stuff. The last thing, and this is just like the little bit of playing around with this thing, and Lilo and Stitch does come out today. I'm going to go see it at some point over the weekend. I'll have a review for you guys on Monday with it. But I wanted to do a kind of like what if scenario here. And I was going to do the Hulk, but I was like, I think the Hulk would pretty much just decimate and crush Stitch. It wouldn't really be that much of a competition. So, and we haven't done anything like this really since the 100 men versus one gorilla thing. So I thought this might be a little fun way to go out on this, have a little fun on Friday. So I put the web slinger, Peter Parker, Spider-Man versus the genetic experiment Stitch here. Duke, what do you think? Who would win in this fight?
Just straight up fight. I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely not as familiar with all of his capabilities in Stitch. I am definitely more familiar with Spider-Man. I would have to go with my boy Spider-Man. He's pretty strong.
All right. Well, what can Spider-Man do exactly? Spider-Man, we know he can shoot webs. His webs are pretty strong. He does have he's got the spider sense. He's got enhanced physical strength.
Sense, agility, super strength. I would say durability because he has a healing factor. And that would probably be the extent of the super abilities. Yeah.
Okay. And his webs are pretty strong, right? I mean, like I guess they have to be because
webs are strong. Yeah.
Okay.
They're made of some special, very durable material.
And Spider-Man has taken down probably more impressive foes than Stitch, I would say. Let's see. What What can Stitch do? Stitch is a genetic experiment. He has the ability to breathe in space. He can lift 3,000 times his body weight. He cannot web sling, obviously, but he can climb. He can climb pretty much the same as Spider-Man, I would think. He can climb on walls and stuff like that. He can super jump. And he does have enhanced learning capabilities, which make him able to like pilot spacecrafts and ships and things of that nature. So I don't know. I think I'm gonna give it to my boy Stitch. I think Stitch. I know Spider-Man is strong, but I don't know. He can't lift 3,000 times his weight, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that much. I mean, he could lift a lot, but I don't know about that much.
Yeah, 3,000 times his weight would be
That'd
a
be.
lot.
I don't know. Yeah, you might have that one with Stitch.
Yeah, I don't know if he could. I don't know how strong Spider-Man's webs are, obviously. But maybe if you caught Stitch in a web, maybe Stitch couldn't get out of it.
Maybe we'll have to have a repeat segment where we do more analyticals about this. Actually, really give it a good test. But that really seems like it'd be a good match. Good topic to end the show with.
And Stitch is indestructible as well, or
yeah,
that's what they say.
You gotta let us know from the movie what type of Stitch what you see and what type of competition Spider-Man will have.
I'm just hoping, honestly, with the movie, I'm just hoping it's good. I'm hoping Disney's not going to ruin it, but I got a feeling because I think the promos look good. But
let's stay positive. We'll find out.
I have no
to be determined.
I have
we'll find out.
I have no faith in Disney and their live action remakes.
Well,
but
hopefully you're wrong and you get let down and have a good experience.
Hopefully. All right, but that is going to do it for this episode. Again, leave a like if you're still listening. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Comment down below what you like. Share it out to your friends or whoever you want to. And we will be back again on Monday from us at the Duke and Dutch Show. I am Dutch. It's Duke, and we will talk to you in the next one.
Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us.